All right, well, it's 7 o'clock, so let's get moving here. Welcome, Jim. I just saw you popped in. Hello. It's always nice to see see people when usually this virtual tours and virtual events from Chicago Movie Tours come across on Facebook Live or YouTube. So it's nice to see your faces. But all right, so welcome. This is a very impromptu launch for Chicago Movie Club. You've been seeing hopefully some promotional pictures and links and things of that nature over the past probably, I guess, 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks about this. So this is just a chance for me to explain to you kind of how this works. If you are interested in this, and I want to also tell you a little bit about how you are the ones who kind of got this going and have really helped create what we're going to jump into with the Chicago Movie Club. So if you are new here, and I do see a few new names, I'm Kelly. I run Chicago Movie Tours, and my goal is really simple. It is this right here, which is to help you discover Chicago through film. That is residents of the city, and that is visitors of the city, because a lot of what I put out with these virtual tours and in-person walking tours, several people in Chicago did not know some of the history of the city's film relationship, or the relationship to the city with film. So I like to make sure that we include both residents and those who are visiting the city. So that link down there in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, chicagomovietours.com/membership, is where we will head toward the end of tonight's little Q&A. And if you would like to check out those membership plans there, by all means, that would be excellent. And then you can follow along on Shy Movie Tours with social media. So here's what we have going on tonight, or what I am trying to present to you. Hey, to my parents who have who jumped in over on Facebook, thank you for that. So 3 things that I want us to look at tonight, which is number 1, how you are the ones who really built this. Now, I did some of the legwork for all of this and getting some of the organizational aspects of this movie club together, but you are really the ones who have told me what you want, what you don't want, and I've tried to incorporate all of those things. So we're going to talk about that first and give you a little bit of history as to how that works. And then we're going to talk about how these Chicago Movie Club plans benefit you. There are 2 of them to choose from at this moment. And then we'll talk a little bit about how it works. And then you can have the floor to ask any questions that you want about the Chicago Movie Club or Chicago Movie Tours or whatever's on your mind. All right. So to explain the first bit of tonight's live Q&A, how you built this, we really need to turn to some surveys. And we're going to start with some surveys on which you actually gave your input over the last year or so. So this has been in the works for at least a year, maybe a little bit more. And I know Jennifer and I have talked a little bit about this. She's over here on the Zoom call as well. But surveys. So over the last year or so, I created 3 surveys and put them out to folks on social media, through email and whatnot. And basically I asked 3 questions of all of you, which is number 1, what member perks would interest you if I did decide to do something like this? Number 2, where would you be more willing to access members only content that other people cannot access other than you? And then thirdly, what is your favorite place to watch virtual events or virtual tours or take online courses? All right, so those are kind of the 3 surveys that I put out over the past year. The first one is this one. Maybe you remember it if some of you who filled this out. This one says, basically, please help me determine whether Chicago Movie Tours membership is something we should pursue. And then I have listed here which membership perks would interest you, and then choose as many as you like. And you can see I gave the option of online classes, exclusive videos, Chicago Movie History Daily in your inbox, Chicago Movie Trivia, whether or not you'd like to be a part of a movie club where we watch and discuss films, whether that be virtual or in person. Maybe you want access to all of the research that I come across when I'm creating some of these tours. Maybe you want first access to in-person tours or discounted tour tickets, or maybe you just will want to be here for some giveaways like t-shirts and mugs and things of that nature. So those are the perks that I offered to you. And secondly, I asked, would you prefer tiered membership? Yes, I would like some options, or no, one paid plan is fine with me, like Netflix or whatever. So the results for these I put out relatively shortly thereafter, which is on your screen here. You can see overwhelmingly that virtually everyone wanted membership tiers. So I definitely took that in mind. And most people, it seems, want to get engaged with Chicago Movie Tours in live online classes. Some of you wanted some further information with regard to my research and notes. Some of you, it seems, also want film club sessions, discounted tour tickets, exclusive videos, and then early access. And the other things that were listed in the survey kind of fell by the wayside, so I didn't really include those. So here's what we have with regard to what you want from a membership. And the Chicago Movie Club has been created with all of this in mind. So the second survey that I asked of you over the past year or so, which is this one: where would you be more willing to access members-only content from Chicago Movie Tours? Are you more interested in accessing that information or content on chicagomovietours.com with a little login and password, or something like Patreon, or either would work for you, perhaps? So if you're not familiar with Patreon, it's a membership platform, very much like what I've created. And you can see its website here, where it allows content creators, those who are podcasters or visual artists or musicians, for example, to run a subscription service without having to host it on their own website. So that's one easy way to create a membership platform, basically. So back to the survey. So which platform were you most likely to use? Well, overwhelmingly, you did not want Patreon. So you can see here that almost 81% of you were interested in accessing any sort of membership content on chicagomovietours.com with a free mobile app. So I have put that in my mind as well when I have created what I'm about to share with you. So because of your input here, now I know where most of you would prefer to access content. All right, and the third and final survey that I put out over the past year, which is, what is your favorite place to watch virtual events? Is it Facebook? Is it YouTube? Or is it Zoom? And we were having a little bit of a discussion within Zoom before we started tonight. There are definitely some pros to that and some cons. Interestingly, your responses are these.
Wow.
Wow, they're very similar in nature. Yeah, that's Owen Wilson and his wow there. But of the three surveys that I presented to those of you who participated in them, these results were the closest in number. So you can see that Facebook and Zoom were a little bit higher ranked than YouTube, but not terribly. And when I created these slides and I started going through them again earlier today, I assumed that Chicago Movie Club would split its time between Facebook and Zoom, which you have the top two there, for a couple of reasons, or really three reasons here. And this is kind of what we were talking about within Zoom just a moment ago, which is Facebook is great for live events that don't require much interaction. But if you are necessitating interaction, like with online classes, for example, or a Q&A, kind of like what we're doing now, or a film club that happens virtually, Zoom is probably better for that. That's because it's private, for one. There's also no lag, right? So those of you who are watching on Facebook, you're getting what I'm saying about 15 seconds after I'm saying it, whereas those on Zoom are getting it immediately at that moment. So there's a couple of reasons for Zoom to work in some of these regards. And then also copyright bots. So in some of these Chicago Movie Club offerings, we will look at film in much more detail than perhaps what I have done on Facebook Live with some of these virtual programs, for example. And even though we are definitely within the scope of fair use, sometimes Facebook, sometimes YouTube will cut you off depending on what kind of clip you are showing from a Hollywood film or if that includes a specific song or music behind it. So I would hate for our live streaming experience to be cut short in that regard. But again, after playing with Zoom, the quality bothers me a bit, especially for virtual tours that I have specifically filmed for you in HD. So I am using a Zoom plan that is well above the basic Zoom plan. So I'm paying for that, but it's not the plan that gives you the massive amount of HD. So maybe tell me in the comments or either over on Facebook what the quality is looking like for you now. But that seems to be an issue from my standpoint. So yeah, let me know. We can talk about that in the Q&A in just a sec. So think about that. What do you think? There are a couple of ways. We don't have to use Zoom necessarily if we are going to do private events like film clubs or interviews, things of that nature. You can have private YouTube links. You can also create a Facebook group, but I know that not everyone prefers to be on Facebook. So some things to think about there. But again, if Zoom is working fine for us now, then we can continue to work on that and I'll figure it out. All right, so your input via surveys, again, so you have really helped build Chicago Movie Club. So thank you very much for that, for filling out all of these surveys and offering your input over the past year or so. It really has helped me know what to select and to focus on. So before we look at how the Chicago Movie Club benefits you and how it works, here is a quick 90-second video that perhaps some of you have seen. I posted on Facebook today that gives you a little overview of the Chicago Movie Club.
Did you know that Chicago's history with moving pictures dates back to 1893 at the World's Columbian Exposition? And were you aware that during cinema's earliest days, it was Chicago who produced the majority of American films on the market, like this one? This history, that virtually no film schools include in their curriculum, by the way, motivated me to create Chicago Movie Tours in the spring of 2020. And it is this history, along with your eagerness to dive into it with me over the past few years, that has inspired me to create the Chicago Movie Club. In short, the Chicago Movie Club is a tiered membership plan for hardcore fans of Chicago movies and history. On a monthly basis, you'll get a combination of virtual tours, walking tours, mini courses, interviews, Q&As, and film club sessions that delve into Chicago's long-time and often obscure background with the movies. Did you want only virtual content? Choose Home Alone, a plan that allows you to discover Chicago in film fully from your couch. Did you want virtual content and major discounts on walking tours? Pick the Chicago way so you can be untouchable with your all-access pass to Chicago's movie history.
Sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue. That's the Chicago way.
Our themes change monthly, so there's always something new to discover about Chicago in film. Now go pick out the plan that's right for you, you filthy animal.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
All right, I got a little feisty over there at the end, didn't I? Okay, so there's a little bit of an overview for you. I'm going to switch over from screen share to the internet so we can go over to the website. In the meantime, I have a poll that I'm going to launch for you to answer while I do that. And those of you who are over on Facebook, the poll is, which plan are you more interested in learning about based on what you just watched, the Home Alone plan or the Chicago way? So if you want to answer that over on Facebook, feel free to do so. All right, anyone else? I'm going to give it another second or so. Which plan are you more interested in? Okay, I will end that poll and I will share the results with you and hopefully you can see that. at this point. So it, it does seem as though most of us are interested in the Home Alone plan. Perfect. We're going to head to that one first and talk a little bit more about it. So I'm going to stop sharing that really quickly, and hopefully you can see my screen, which is now over on chicagomovietours.com. So if you are wanting to check out these membership plans, you will just simply go over to members and go down to plans. And once our website takes us over there, it should be a little faster than that. Again, I'm going to blame Zoom. So you have basically your virtual plan, which is Home Alone, and your all access plan, which is the Chicago Way. And there is that video that you just watched. So if you jump down here, you can see what all is being offered in both of these. So basically the difference in the Home Alone plan and the Chicago Way is walking tours. So each one of these plans, you want virtual tours, you want mini courses, you want live Q&As, interviews, and film club sessions. So again, all those things that were on the membership survey, all included there in those first 2 bullet points. So if you miss one of these things, you can have an on-demand event replay. You would need to log into the website, just press play, and you can watch whatever you missed if you are out of town or didn't feel like popping in on that evening. You also can have bonus features, members only content. For example, I did recently a virtual tour on Movie Dogs and Chicago's oldest pet cemetery. I know some of you were online for that. So you have that virtual tour that we looked at on Tuesday night. So let's say Wednesday or Thursday, I would present you with some bonus features regarding that particular tour, maybe talking a little bit more about how dogs are represented on screen, how dogs of Hollywood stars are buried, where they are buried, why they choose to bury them there. So just a little bit further information. Those of you who want to dig a little bit more into the subject matter, you would maybe wait a day or two and get a bonus feature that only you could access. No one else could do that if they were not a member. And then there's that free mobile app that you asked for as well in the membership survey. And then over on the right-hand side of the screen, which is the Chicago Way plan, you can see it starts to differentiate at the bottom down there where you get 40% off all walking tours. That's as many as you want to take in 1 month. Or you could take 1 in 1 month, or you could take 3 in 1 month, but you get 40% off 1 ticket for any of those. That's about 35 to 38, 40% off maybe what anybody else would really pay once you start adding in the other costs up here. And you would also get pre-sale access to new walking tours. So I do have some new walking tours I'm working on that hopefully will happen this summer. So you would be able to have pre-sale access to those as well. So there's the 2 plans. And then something else that I have done is create monthly themes for the Chicago Movie Club. So you can see here, new month, new theme, always Chicago in film. So if we jump over here and hit club calendar, it will take you to basically the months for the rest of this year. You can see here that April is launch month. So we're dealing with that right now. Hey, David, just saw you pop in over on Facebook. And then we can scroll down so you can see what's happening in May. I do have, I think, all of the May events up there right now. June, we're going to have the theme of freedom. We're going to talk about the Underground Railroad, for example, and Chicago's relationship to that, as well as McDonald's. Yes, we're going to talk about that and its relationship to film, of course. We're going to talk about freedom with Ferris Bueller, because after all, they do want an entire day of freedom. So it's a broad way of looking at these themes. Amusement, we'll talk about Kittyland. In July, we'll talk about a movie called The Fury. We will talk about Singing in the Rain in Chicago. So you have that to look forward to as well with amusement. Legacy, we're going to talk about Mom's Mabley, Mr. Kelly's, dyeing the St. Patrick's, dyeing the River Green in Chicago for St. Patrick's Day and the legacy of that on screen in The Fugitive. So again, we'll have lots of different types of events and online courses that relate to legacy. Same thing with silence. We're going to talk about silent movies, silent movie theaters, And then October, Fire. November is Comfort. That hot dog looks good. And then December is Chill. You can see us under the bean there. All right, so if you click on at least the first two of these, you'll see the events for that particular month. So if we head over to April for launch, you'll see that we already did Movie Dogs in Chicago's Oldest Pet Cemetery. So there's not a lot scheduled here for April since we're launching so late. But here's tonight's virtual event. Next week is the very first event that we're going to do really as Chicago Movie Club, which is Somewhere in Time, the movie Somewhere in Time, which was filmed partially in Chicago and mostly on Mackinac Island in Michigan. I have with us for an interview the president of the movie's fan club, which has been around for more than 30 years now. So a lot of discussion with regard to this film, which she was in, by the way. She was an extra in this film, and this movie has basically, I wouldn't say taken over her life, but it is consumed her life in a way that she did not expect. So her story is really interesting with regard to fandom and just her placement in the film itself. So that's going to be next Tuesday night, right about this time. And there's, of course, a walking tour that's happening at the end of this month. So if we look over at May, though, you'll see lots of events that I already have up for you. So generally what's going to happen is I will still try to offer a free tour for everyone on Facebook Live, and that will be the Marx Brothers in Chicago. So it'll usually be the first Tuesday of the month. So you can see down there below registration, free for all, replay available to you as a member. There's another walking tour, Chicago Movies in Prison. This is a mini course called Low Angle Shots in the Dark Night. So I'm going to take you on location in Chicago, both above ground and below ground. And we're going to talk about low angle shots, what they mean, what they mean in Hollywood, how to recognize them when you're watching a film, and how they crop up in the dark night and basically accentuate the theme of anarchy, which is what we're talking about this month. Speaking of anarchy, The Blues Brothers is nothing if not an anarchic film, especially at the very end of it, where they're all, running into Daley Plaza and there's nothing but anarchy going on there. So we are going to do another mini course on The Blues Brothers and going on location with three scenes from the film. We're going to look at the prison scene, the mall scene, and city halls, and talk about the significance of location filming in that movie. And then there's another date for the Art of Ferris Bueller walking tour and another little course for you, which is editing and chaos in The Untouchables. So hopefully you're getting the theme here of anarchy, chaos, wild things occurring on screen. So we are going to look at Chicago's Union Station and the staircase sequence in The Untouchables and talk about an editing style called disjunctive or discontinuous editing, and how that works and does not work in the movie itself. So again, for those of you who want to dig in a little further into movies, there's those online classes for you. And then Chicago and Movie Highlights Tour, that is one that I have not offered to the public. So this is the first time I'm offering it to the public. I have done it on private tour a couple of times. And then if you click next, you can keep going with all of these. And you're not going to find quite as much because you'll see toward the bottom here that, oops, you're early. This month's full lineup will be here around May the 15th. So around the 15th of the previous month, you'll get all the content for that month. All right. So that's how the calendar works. And then the other link that is on all of these pages is membership FAQs, which we do not need to go through all these, but I will point out a couple of them really quickly. Which is number 4 here. Must I create an account to purchase a plan? Yes, you do need to create an account because you have to have that to access all of the information that I'm going to be giving to you. Let's see, another concern some people might have is who's seeing your information. All of your information is private. In the member section, you can manage your profile, update personal details, and set any notifications you want. You can do that on a mobile app as well. There's an entire section here for the mobile app if you're interested in that. Here's information about how to cancel it if you need to. You cannot pause a plan as you would Hulu or something like that, for example. That's just not the way that this site works. But you can cancel it and then you can resubscribe if you want to. And then let me move over here really quickly to virtual events and walking tours, which is question 3. Must I register for these things if I'm already a member? Yes, you do have to register for all virtual events because you have to reserve your spot and you have to have an email address registered in order to get any private meeting links, whether those be through Zoom or YouTube or wherever we decide to place these things. All right. Finally, here under virtual events, when do they take place? So if you noticed as we were scrolling through there, the calendar, most of the virtual events take place on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock. This seemed to be a pretty good night for the majority of folks who joined us for Virtual Tour Tuesdays the last 3 or 4 months of the year. So we're keeping that unless we have a major issue with that. But you can always, of course, watch the replay when it's posted. All right, and the same thing with walking tours. Do you have to register if you're a member? Yes, in order to secure your spot and make sure you get all the good tour specifics, where we're going to meet, all of that, you do have to register. All right, so there is that. And I think that's really it at this point. So I do encourage you to go back to the plan section and see if one of those works for you. And in the meantime, it's about 7:30. So that was all I wanted to say, and hopefully turn it over to you about that time and see if you have any questions, whether they be on Zoom or over on Facebook. All right. So I am not seeing anything yet in the chat. And of course, you can unmute yourself over on Zoom if you want to, and type in the comment section over on Facebook. How long will the meetings last? The meetings as far as like the virtual tours or the online courses, they differ. I would say very few of them would be shorter than 30 minutes. So it's at least 30 minutes, like the mini course, the one about low angles in the dark night, that's probably going to run about 30 minutes. But the one on the Blues Brothers with the prisons, the malls, and the city halls, that's an online course as well. I'm guessing that's probably going to run 45 to an hour. So it just depends. And I have the times listed on the registration section as well. Anything else? Rebecca says, what URL do I need to use? Yeah, to go grab the membership plan, just go to chicagomovietours.com/membership if that's what you're looking for there. Anything else? Any other questions? How is Zoom working? Is it okay? Those of you who are within the realm of Zoom. My mother is asking, any tours of the car museum? Yes, I took my parents to a car museum once when they were here, and I found lots of cars in there that were either in Hollywood films or they were owned by Hollywood stars like Mae West, for example. And I have worked with the people at the car museum to create a tour about Hollywood cars in Chicago. So hopefully that is coming. It's probably going to be in the fall, though. They are doing something in July and August, I think, with some of their cars that might take some of them out of commission. So it might be something that's a fall tour. All right. So Peter and Cynthia say that Zoom is working okay for them. That's good. And hopefully the quality is okay, too. I'm really a stickler about the quality of these programs. And YouTube and Facebook both will allow 1080p now. So whenever I am streaming these virtual tours, they seem to go really smoothly on Facebook and YouTube because they do allow such a high resolution and streaming. When will this group start? You can start it right now. So the first event that we'll do is next Tuesday night. So the Somewhere in Time interview, where I'll interview the president of the fan club of Somewhere in Time. Let's see, let me put a link over here in the Zoom section. It says I couldn't find where to sign up. So I'm going to throw that over here. See if that works. It should be a good tour. Yes, my mother says. Yeah, it's a pretty cool car museum. Definitely. Lots in there. I'm also trying to work on something with the Palmer House, movies that have been filmed in and around the Palmer House, and movies that presumably were filmed in the Palmer House that were not really, based on my research. So hopefully that will be coming up relatively soon as well. The car museum is located in, I don't know the neighborhood. It's a very industrial, like commercial area, but also right next to a neighborhood. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but where it's located, but it's called Claremont Collections. And I'll type it in the comments over here because it's spelled not how you think it is. So you can check the address on that. That should have an S at the end of it. Yeah, it's not the Volo one, David. Yeah, that one's a little bit north, right? Quite a bit north of the city. Yes, the Palmer House reopened. They did. They shut down for the first time, I think, ever, because of the pandemic, obviously. But yeah, they've reopened, and I've been in there several times, especially Christmas. Lovely to be walking around there at Christmas time. So that tour is getting close to hopefully being ready. And I still need to speak with some more people there about that. Yeah, it's way north, David says, the Volo Museum. Anything else? Anything else? Shifting back and forth between both of your comments here. Oh, you met your husband when you worked at the Palmer House. How nice. Such a lovely place to work. Or at least the lobby area. I don't know necessarily where you worked, but that lobby is certainly impressive when you walk in there for the first time. If you go up the escalator and then it just appears in front of your face, quite impressive. Hey, David, thanks. Have a good evening. All right, I'll give it just a couple more seconds and then we will shut it down and let you all go peruse the website if you are so inclined. All right, Jane's in. Nice. Yeah, I'm excited about the Somewhere in Time. I need to revisit the movie. So hopefully if you're going to join us next Tuesday night for that, you can rewatch as well. It's always a good time to watch Christopher Reeve and James Seymour and Mackinac Island. Thanks, Cynthia. Thank you, Peter. Thank you all for showing up over on Zoom, and those of you who just jumped in on Facebook when I decided to do this very impromptu. All right, well, I'm going to let you all go for the evening, and thank you very much, and hopefully I will see you very soon. Have a good one.